and welcome to another episode of Unraveling the Middle Ages, where we discuss one of the most pivotal periods in human history. Today's podcast will cover feudalism in Japan, and more specifically the similarities and differences between its counterparts in Europe. The majority of people would be aware of how feudalism was the main form of government in medieval Europe and have a basic understanding of how it worked, but few would know about its equal in Southeast Asia. In their practicalities, the two forms of feudalism are very similar, but there are some key moral and principle differences that are worth noting. Japanese feudalism began in the 12th century, around 300 years after its beginnings in Europe, and it ended in 1868 during a period known as the Meiji Restoration, again around 300 years after it came to an end in Europe. The two regions comprised a similar system of there being the emperor, king or queen at top, next the lords or daimyo with the knights or samurai. Below this point is where it differed. In Europe, the craftsmen and merchants were just below the knights and lords, with the peasants at the very bottom of social classes. In Japan, however, the two were reversed and peasants were treated better, as the importance of their work was appreciated, although they did treat merchants very poorly, and they were seen as parasites for profiting off other people's work. It is also worth noting how in both societies, escaping your social status designated at birth was impossible, and there was no flexibility. As previously stated, the main difference between the two feudal societies was the principles and morals that fueled their way of life. The Japanese believed that all people were bound by honor and loyalty to serve their higher-ups, and the emperor was a literal god that they lived to please. They believed in extreme showings of bravery and, as well as meditation and expression of self. The Europeans, on the other hand, lived mainly for themselves and their own gain. A great example of these differences is with the warriors, the knights and samurai. In Japan, samurai were of the utmost importance and were expected to carry themselves about as such. Samurai engaged in meditation, calligraphy, poetry, all while possessing extreme skill in combat. They lived a very spiritual life, and they did so for the emperor whom they loved dearly. In contrast, European knights lived more thuggish, basic lives. They were incredibly low levels of literacy at the time, so most knights couldn't read or write. Rather than spirituality and poetry, knights would instead spend their time jousting or racing. Knights did what they did for titles of royalty and rewards rather than honor. I hope this episode has highlighted key similarities and differences between the two nations, and as always, I thank you for watching and we'll see you all next time.